What is the safest way to rent an apartment?
Haha, scammers.
Scam.
Perhaps as you've maybe already gotten an idea from the fact that all three of us or all four of us have mentioned it, scamming is something that happens, and it's something that scammers sort of take advantage of the fact that the Dutch housing market and rental market is extremely competitive. So it's something you need to take care of, and especially as we've kind of suggested that Facebook is a really good place to look for rooms. That advice stands, and it is really, really useful, and it works a lot of the time, but it's also obviously because it's Facebook, it could be unregulated. So it's somewhere that you need to be extra cautious when looking for somewhere to live if you're using that as your platform. A couple of tips to avoid being scammed, or to kind of follow with the line of question, to remain safe while trying to find somewhere to live. Knowing where you're looking and knowing the prices in the area where you're looking is a really good starting point, because as we've mentioned, if something's seems too good to be true, then it probably is, and it's probably not worth you taking the risk. So have an idea of what the general prices are, what is in your price range, what you can get for how much money you have to spend, and then you'll be going into it at least more informed, and you're more likely to be able to tell, oh no, wait, this does not look right, this doesn't sound right. Bouncing off of what we said earlier, looking on official and well-known websites like Funda is a really good place to start if you're cautious about staying well clear of scammers. It's harder for them to be able to run a successful scam on sites that are licensed and registered and check what's going up on their website. Another tip, which might sound a little obvious, but never sign a contract before you've actually seen the property, even if the landlord is putting you under pressure and is really pressurizing you into signing on the dotted line or making a payment even. Don't do that. They shouldn't do that, and you should have no reason to succumb to what they're saying just because you feel like you need somewhere to live. So don't sign on the dotted line if you're not confident that what you're doing is legit. On the topic of money, they can ask you for a deposit as a landlord, but something that they can't do is ask you for money to like reserve the property, or to, I think the term is like to like reserve the keys or to like get the keys. That's illegal. So if a landlord is saying you need to pay this money for the keys or whatever, that's a scam. That's probably a short way to know that you are being scammed. So step away, walk away. Never provide a copy of your ID or your passport. If they're asking for information, specific information that you need, that they need for contracts and stuff, provide them with the information that they need. But before that stage, if they're asking you for proof of identity, they don't need it, and you don't want to run the risk of falling victim to identity fraud. So watch out for that. On the flip side of that, if you're worried about the landlord and you're worried they might not be legit, you could potentially ask them for proof of identity. That might help. If they're willing to do that, then they're more likely to be someone that can actually be trusted. I think Abby had some horror stories.
Not like horror stories. I think it's knowing what to look out for, and it's very obvious once you know the like common things. So what you said about like if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Like I found someone who was letting a studio apartment in like central Amsterdam for €800 a month, and it was obviously a scam because you can't get a studio. You might get a parking space. And I had another one where it's always a very similar story where they said the apartment looked beautiful in the pictures, almost certainly not their apartment, and they say that they're on holiday or they've moved or they've left the country and they can't show you around the apartment, but as soon as you give a deposit, then they will ask their friend to give you the keys so that you can move in. And I think a lot of people do. We had a colleague who did fall victim to one of these scams when she first moved to the Netherlands, and she transferred the money, and obviously the apartment doesn't exist and you don't get the money back. And especially if you do it's often by like wire transfer, then the money's not recoverable because you've essentially transferred it willingly, so the police can't do anything about it. It's just a really horrible situation and you wouldn't want to be in that. So I would be very wary about transferring people money before having seen an apartment. You should always be able to visit it. That's not a situation where you would sign for something and not see it.
I have like one other horror story, which is really like my friend from the state was looking for a house. She visited the house. The person opened the house, showed everything, and basically what it was, that person that was supposed to be living there was actually renting the house from Airbnb. So that is also one of the things that I was like shocked. So by the time that she has moved, she did the payments, she even got a contract because she saw the person by itself. And then once she was there, no one to be found.
Oh, that's horrible.
So that's
very
also something. They're very creative. So yeah, I don't want to shock everyone, but it just,
I feel like stuff like this could happen anywhere, though. I mean, obviously the market in the Netherlands maybe makes it even more common, but you can fall victim to scams anywhere.
One thing that someone recommended to me to do was to, if you have the photos, to search the photos on Google, and then if it's like a stock image or if it's come from Airbnb or something, it will come up straight away. And if you know that it's not the right thing, then that can be a warning sign as well. But it's like being
also,
a detective.
No, but also what Victoria just mentioned, you can also ask them, like, okay, but can I also see your ID on it? Carissa, would you recommend using a real estate agent for securing a rental? I would, personally.
I would.
I think if you've got the money to spend on it, then it's definitely something to do.
You will complain about how much it costs because it is expensive, and they're not really acting in the tenant's interest a lot of the time. They are acting for the landlord, and you will get charged for stuff like drawing up rental contracts and exchanging keys and things like that. It can be quite expensive, but it's safer, and you know what you're getting.